Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Diego Guerra. I'm a senior planner with Hillsborough County's Planning Commission. Just want to start off with a couple housekeeping notes. If you have any questions, you're free to ask them, but we will be having a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. So I ask that you hold your questions to the end. If you have any comments or if you don't want to forget your question, you can always feel free to type it in your question box or chat box um, within the chat. Again, if you want to ask a question, you can raise your hand within the chat box. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and start. So as I mentioned, my name is Diego Guerra. I'm a senior planner with the Planning Commission. Myself and Katrina Cochran, which will be presenting, which will help in presenting the capital improvement section update to the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan tonight. So I want to start off by discussing what our current work program on the comprehensive plan update looks like. Depicted on the slide, you will see that the housing and intergovernmental coordination sections have already begun their process, and they're pretty much halfway through their plan amendment process. Excuse me. Next up, which we are currently just beginning as of is our capital improvements section, and then our future land use section update is currently planned for early 2023. So the capital improvement section is part of the governance chapter of the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, as depicted on the graphic to the right of your screen. The capital improvement section is the start of the final phase of the major comprehensive plan update, with the next follow-on section update being that future land use section, which I previously mentioned. The current context of the section includes topic areas on level of service, financial feasibility, needed public facilities and improvements, coordinating capital improvements with land development, the coastal hazard area, informing the public of capital improvement planning, schools, and support of transportation improvements. We began the update by utilizing and incorporating policy direction given to us by the Board of County Commissioners at the onset of the overall comprehensive plan update, which began in 2020. And I'll give you a minute to review the guidance that the Board of County Commissioners provided at that time. All right. This slide provides a visual framework on how the comprehensive plan, specifically the capital improvement section, is implemented. The section provides the overall guidance, overall general community direction through its goals, objectives, and policies. The guiding policies are then addressed in the Land Development Code, which contains more specific rules and regulations on how land is to be developed. And then technical manuals also address the guiding policies by providing a comprehensive guide for ongoing operations and technical design specifications for projects and development. The section is also implemented through regulations and ordinances, in addition to education and outreach and other programmatic elements. So one of the key updates within the new section is a level of service terminology. So previously and currently adopted in the current capital improvements section are the terminology of Category A facilities, Category B facilities, and Category C facilities. We are proposing to renaming these terms, if you will, into adopted levels of service, which would replace the formerly Category A facilities. Adopted levels of service must be maintained for concurrency purposes. In working with various county departments, we worked on updating language regarding stormwater, potable water, wastewater, solid waste, and parks and recreation. And as you can see on the slide, you can see which particular program areas were updated and how they were updated generally. The next category is Category B facilities. These are independent, distinct, and from the adopted levels of service. These are the target levels of service. Again, they are completely separate and distinct from the adopted level of service standards. Target level of service standards are used for planning purposes and are mostly specific to county roads, flooding, and multimodal language and maps, which I will discuss in a little bit as well. And finally, Category C facilities, we're proposing to name public schools level of service. There's no change to the actual level of service or language. We are just changing that Category C facility terminology to a public schools level of service terminology. And next, Katrina Cochran will discuss the mobility related changes to the capital improvement section.
Thanks, Diego. Good evening, everyone. As Diego mentioned, my name is Katrina Corcoran. I'm a senior planner with the Planning Commission, and I have been assisting with the mobility related portion of the CIE update. So as Diego already mentioned, we are moving from that term Category B to target levels of service, or LOS. Here, the intent remains the same, with transportation policies and targets intended for planning purposes, and this helps staff identify problem areas, and these target levels of service are not regulatory. As a big portion of the mobility-related policies in this update, we've added multimodal level of service, or MMLOS, target measures in policy. We've also proposed non-adopted maps, and they illustrate transit LOS, which was actually already adopted with the mobility section and available within our comprehensive plan on our website. Transit LOS, the methodology is based on best practices research for transit supportive density. And it is measured primarily based on frequency. So that, again, that is already adopted within the CIE. And the only change that we've proposed as a part of this capital improvements update is separating out LOSC and LOSD in the table that is provided online and in the capital improvements draft language. We've also proposed adding bicycle level of service and pedestrian level of service. These are, they allow the county to look at those existing conditions and plan for future improvements to bicycle and pedestrian facilities. And they refer to ratings based on speed, convenience, and safety of the road for various road users. We still have vehicular LOS in the plan. The MMLOS is simply adding to these LOS measures that we have. The only difference with the vehicular LOS is that we have taken out the level of service for collector roads. This is because concurrency is no longer required. And generally, the widening of collector roads would be unpopular and not as financially feasible. However, vehicular LOS for arterials remains LOSD, and that stays the same from what is currently adopted. Again, we've had some minor name, acronym, flow, grammar updates, just improving on the language within the section. And the big thing here are the MMLOS target measures, and we will have draft maps showing existing conditions today for transit, bicycle, pedestrian, and vehicular LOS, along with the policy language in the draft online, which shows the targets that the county will be looking at for planning purposes. With that, I will hand this back to Diego. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. And then this slide depicts the new organization of the section. The goal being at the top, then followed by the 9 objective areas. The objective areas in bold are the new topic areas or areas within the section that have substantive changes within the section. As I stated earlier, we are in the early stages of the process. Today, August 10th, marks the first, the number 1 on the slide that you see with our virtual public meeting, and then follow on public meetings, briefings, and presentations to elected officials. September 12th is our Planning Commission briefing, followed by a couple days later to the Board of County Commissioners briefing on September 14th. Public comment closes on October 1st, and I'll touch on that on the next slide. Planning Commission public hearing is scheduled to be held on the 7th of November with the Board of County Commissioners transmittal public hearings tentative for 15 December and the capital improvement section adoption occurring in early 2023. So ladies and gentlemen, we have established a project page where you are able to review the draft language, review other background information. You can also sign up to receive updates on the project if language has changed, new documents have been uploaded to the project page, you would receive those notifications. You can also provide feedback regarding the language or the overall project as well. The page can be accessed from the unincorporated Hillsborough County Plan Amendments section of the Plan Hillsborough website. As you can see on the screen, you would go to the purple ribbon at the top, hover over plans, down to comprehensive plans, plan amendments, and then down to unincorporated Hillsborough County. There's also a QR code. You can scan that code with your phone. It will take you directly to that project page as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we do appreciate you taking the time out of your day today, and we invite you to review the language. We would appreciate any input that you may or feedback that you may have, and ask that you submit it by October 1st, like I previously mentioned. You can submit your comments or feedback directly onto the project page, or you can email myself or Ms. Dickens at the contact information, which is on the slide and also found on the project page as well. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Diego, one question that I know comes up frequently is, do the target levels of service, do those affect concurrency?
No, so the target levels of service are distinct and separate from the adopted levels of service that do affect concurrency. The target levels of service are utilized for planning purposes, and like I said, are completely separate and distinct from those that affect the concurrency, which those particular program areas are stormwater, water, wastewater, solid waste, and parks and recreation.
Thanks for clarifying that. I know that's something that we wanted to make sure we clarified here.
Yes, ma'am. Are there any other questions? If not, again, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for being present, and have a good rest of your evening.